The faculty lounge door slammed behind me like a judge's gavel, sealing my fate in that stale, coffee-scented tomb of small-town academia. "Look at the new guy's bling. Rainbow Warrior reporting for duty," sneered Mr. Hargrove, the grizzled PE coach, his voice slicing through the chatter like a rusty blade. I froze, fingers brushing the tiny enamel pin on my lapel, its colors suddenly feeling like a target painted on my chest, as the room's laughter swelled into a roar that drowned out my thundering pulse. I'm Miles Whitaker, and that pin wasn't just jewelry. It was armor, forged from the ashes of a kid who once stared down the barrel of a loaded .38 in his parents' garage. Back when gay was still a curse whispered in the shadows of rural Ohio, I'd clawed my way out of that darkness, traded the bottle for books, and landed this gig teaching English at Elmwood High in fictional but feels real as hell Jefferson, Iowa. A fresh start in the heartland, where cornfields stretched like golden promises under endless blue skies, and folks still believed in apple pie, football Fridays, and pulling yourself up by bootstraps that sometimes weren't there. But day 3 on the job, and I'd already shattered the unspoken code. Don't rock the boat. Don't be you. The pin? It was subtle, no bigger than a quarter, a gift from the first kid I'd saved through the foundation I ran on the down low. Lifeline Outreach, my baby, anonymous to the world, funneling grants to LGBTQ plus youth teetering on the edge. Hotlines, therapy rides, safe houses in basements across the Midwest. I'd poured every spare dime from my trust fund. Yeah, the one from Dad's untimely heart attack and Mom's remarriage to a Bible thumper who saw me as a phase. Into it. No fanfare, no plaques, just lives stitched back together, one desperate call at a time. Wearing that pin to Elmwood was my quiet rebellion, a nod to the 17-year-olds in my lit class who slouched in hoodies, eyes darting like they were mapping escape routes. That's when Jonathan Hale walked into my orbit like a plot twist in one of the Austen novels I was supposed to teach. History teacher, mid-30s with that effortless Iowa farm boy charm. Tousled chestnut hair, laugh lines framing hazel eyes that crinkled when he grinned, and a voice like aged bourbon. Smooth with a kick. We met at the welcome barbecue, me nursing a root beer by the grill, him flipping burgers with the ease of a man who'd grown up wrestling steers and quoting Lincoln. New blood, huh? Miles, right? Don't let Hargrove get to you. He's all bark, zero Civil War knowledge. His hand on my shoulder lingered a beat too long, warm through my chambray shirt, and I swear the fireflies blinked in Morse code. This could be something. It was. Over late-night lesson plans in the empty library, we'd trade stories like contraband. Him, orphaned young, raised by a spinster aunt in Des Moines, channeling loss into tales of American grit. The Underground Railroad, the Stonewall riots slipped in like Easter eggs. Me, the closeted teen who coded his crushes in poetry journals, the foundation as my midnight confessional. You're doing God's work, Miles, he'd say, his fingers tracing the rim of his coffee mug, inches from mine. Our first kiss happened under a harvest moon on the bleachers after a game, the crowd's cheers fading into white noise as his lips met mine. Tentative, then fierce, tasting of peppermint and possibility. I've waited too long for this, he murmured against my neck, and I believed him, because in Jefferson, love like ours was a fragile bloom in cracked concrete, but cracks spiderwebbed fast. Whispers started in the halls. Whitaker's one of those. Notes on my desk, fairy tale time, and stairs in the staff room that could curdle milk. Principal Ellis, a pear-shaped relic with a comb-over and a cross on his desk, called me in. Son, we keep politics out here. That pin? It's dividing folks. I stood my ground, voice steady as a sonnet. It's not politics, sir. It's pride. For the kids who need to see it. He sighed, waved me out, but the seed was planted. By week 5, the humiliation hit like a Midwest twister. It was assembly day, all staff rah in the auditorium, banners fluttering like surrender flags. I was mid-sentence on my intro, something about the power of words in The Great Gatsby, when Hargrove's voice boomed from the back. Hey, Whitaker! What's that sparkle? Compensating for something? Laughter erupted, a hydra of hyenas. Teachers I'd shared potlucks with now howling. Ellis shifted uncomfortably, but no one shut it down. Then Jonathan, my Jonathan, chimed in, his tone light, too light. Come on, Miles, it's just a pin. Save the drama for Shakespeare. The room exploded, And I felt it then, the betrayal uncoiling in my gut like barbed wire. His eyes met mine, apologetic flicker buried under the mask, but it was there. He'd thrown me under the bus to keep his tires clean. I bolted, the auditorium doors banging like thunderclaps, out into the crisp October air where leaves skittered like fleeing secrets. Collapsed on the steps of the old oak that shaded the football field. I ripped off the pin, its clasp drawing blood. A pinprick of crimson on my thumb. Why? Why him? Jonathan had known everything. The Foundation's latest save. A trans kid from Cedar Rapids who'd texted Lifeline at 2 a.m., gun to temple, now thriving in art school. We'd lain tangled in his sheets just last night, whispering futures. Maybe a cabin up in Door County, adoptions, the works. You're my anchor, he'd said. Liar. He found me there, of course, the coward's apology scripted in his stride. Miles, wait, it was a joke. To defuse. Hargrove's on the warpath about values. And I cut him off, voice a whip. You what? Needed to play safe? Betray the man who's loved you since you quoted Frederick Douglass to make me laugh. His face crumpled, that farm boy facade cracking. I'm scared. Okay? This job's all I got. My aunt's medical bills. Lifeline's great for them, but I can't lose health insurance. He sank beside me, hand hovering, then dropping. I love you. God, I do. But Jefferson eats its own. We talked or fought. For hours, the sun dipping low, painting the sky in bruised purples. He confessed the pressure. Rumors he'd squashed, but the pin had tipped the scale. Ellis pulled me aside yesterday, said if I didn't rein you in, we'd both be gone. Betrayal's aftertaste is bile, but under it, the raw ache of shared wounds. Jonathan wasn't a villain. He was me at 19, folding under the weight of normal. I pulled him close anyway, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the chill. Then fight with me, I whispered. Or let me go. The climax crashed the next dawn, unbidden, in the form of a ghost from my past. Assembly fallout had gone viral, grainy phone video of the jeers hitting local Facebook groups, then TikTok, hashtags like teacher takedown exploding. By morning, my inbox was a war zone. Hate mail from trolls, but gems too. Parents thanking Lifeline for their daughter's lifeline. Then the call. Sarah Klein, Elmwood Jr., voice trembling over the line. Mr. Whitaker? It's the pin. I tried to end it last night, because of them, but your foundation. You saved me once before anonymously. I recognized the logo in your wallet that day you dropped it. Sarah, the girl with the faded bracelets, the one who quoted Plath too knowingly. She'd been our first big case. Bridge jumper intercepted by a hotline volunteer I trained. I raced to the school, Jonathan tailing in his truck, face ashen. The lobby was a circus. Cops, counselors, a huddle of wide-eyed students. Sarah sat on a bench, knees to chest, but alive, fiercely so. They laughed at you, she said when I knelt. But you wore it. For us. Word spread like prairie fire. Kids trickled in, pins handmade from construction paper. Rainbows on lockers, whispers turning to chants. Hargrove slunk by, mumbling apologies. Ellis called an emergency meeting, but the tide had turned. Jonathan cornered me in the hall, eyes red-rimmed. I get it now. The foundation, it's not just checks. It's you. He pressed something into my palm. His own pin, scavenged from an old protest stash, larger, bolder. I'm in. All the way. We didn't kiss. Not there, not yet. But his hand squeezed mine, a vow sealed in sweat and second chances.